Welcome to the Seven Figure Jump, part of the Iron Entrepreneur Radio Network. We are so honored to be able to bring you your host, two-time recipient of the internationally coveted Presentainer Award, honored as one of the top 10 women in business to follow globally, as well as one of the top change coaches in the world. We are excited to bring you your host, Dr. Karen Perkins.
Well, welcome back this week. Another fabulous week of guests. I'm so excited. And, we have a lot of great things going on in the world right now. And, Robert, I want to hear what's going on in your world. Come join us for a minute.
Hey, thanks. Thanks for having me on, as always, each and every week.
Every week. I got to have my producer come tell me how things are going.
Well, I'm pretty excited. I've made a deal with some local PetSmarts in our area of Phoenix that we call it the East Valley. And East Valley actually is an area that has 2.5 million people. But at the PetSmarts, what we did is we have boxes provided by the Network Together Angel Foundation. And so what we're doing is we're collecting donationables that we give away to kids in our local area. And these are kids who may be in hospitals. These are kids who may be underprivileged. And these are kids who may be terminally ill. And we do that.
Wow.
We do that to brighten their days. And members of Network Together have really stepped up and been a part of this initiative. And it's one of the things that your guest today, Jacque, and I have worked on for a long time is getting great partnerships with different organizations, not-for-profit organizations that serve the community, because we believe that entrepreneurism is not just about, creating profits. It's about having everyone profit.
I love that. And, I love what you say about it being, it's not just working together and collaborating, but it's really sharing with one another. What was the term you used last week that I fell in love with? I can't remember.
It's not just collaborating with each other. It's completing each other.
Completing each other. That's what it was. And I just went, I love that.
Well, I think so much of the time I think of great relationships and, between two people. And if they decide to really, vows, let's say, and they decide to really consummate the relationship in that way, I believe that we can create bonds in the business community at a level where, hey, you have something, I have something, you have these gifts and talents, and I have these gifts and talents, but together we complete something. And I think that's the magic about not just collaborating, but how do we complete each other, and how do we complete each other in such a way that we can accomplish a mission?
Right. And that is so important. And I'm really proud of you for helping the children. And I know children are really important to our guest today too. And she's working at getting a program in the school system to help children from the beginning, so that when they become adults, that they already know how to succeed and how to run a business. And she's just got a vast background. So I'm excited about that.
Well,
Go ahead.
And Jacque and I, we talk about this in the Entrepreneur Network, and prior to that Network Together, we said, entrepreneurism doesn't have to wait until you're 40 years old. Entrepreneurism can start at 14, and even our 14-year-olds say, hey, you could start entrepreneurism at 4 years old. So I think what we're attempting to do is really just bring this whole new world that may not necessarily be in the curriculum of regular school districts to say, hey, there are other opportunities for our youth to be able to make an impact almost immediately.
One of the things that I'm noticing more and more, and somebody was telling me adults are being more in tune, but I'm watching, and kids are too. People are starting to feel and see and work with, and I'm getting into woo-woo, but they're working with the vibrations of the universe, of the earth, and the energy. And I was talking to my grandson the other day, and he said, I walked into the room and the energy was just not good. And I said, well, what do you mean by that? And he's like, well, you know how when we're together and we're talking about positive stuff and how the room just feels better and you feel better? I
Right.
went, yeah. And he's like, yeah, I walked in that room and nobody said anything and I could just feel it wasn't going to go a good place. And that just made me smile because there's so much truth to that. And, energy is the law of the universe. And in fact, one of the entrepreneur things, Marty Bergian, that we had on, gosh, a month ago, I guess, has got that event coming up in November 20th through 22nd. And she, like always, is going to teach people how to run their own energy to bring in abundance. And so, those that are looking to go 7 figures and 8 figures, I've met a lot of her clientele, and they are 7 and 8 figure people looking to go to the next level. And it's been amazing. So I strongly encourage anyone who's wanting to learn how to move the energy to bring in abundance that you think about coming to Vegas the weekend of the 20th through 22nd, so week before Thanksgiving, and just stay the whole next week and have Thanksgiving there too.
Well,
So,
I love what you say, and I don't normally jump in this late into our initial dialogue, but one of the things that I really want to bring is kids are training me. And what I mean by that is for you and for me and Jackie, we learned in the physical. And we went to class, we had a teacher, and it was very physical. There was a singularity about it. My
yeah,
boys, on the other hand, they're even saying, look, with us, we have the benefit of we're growing up both in digital and physical realms. And, so we're learning, on a path that's much broader than you. I mean, even a simple show, my kids are, well, how long do people stay on your show? How many views do you get? How long does the show run? What is the ratio of people? I mean, the questions they ask is amazing. How many subscribers do you have? Did you know that you could monetize? I would have never had these type of questions in my head because there was no digital construct to allow me to even pursue those questions when I was a kid.
yeah,
Mine was going to school, making a living, working for someone, but their paths are like a glow stick. Their opportunities are abundant. And I think that we have to have our educational system start to really look at this differently. Maybe COVID has changed the way that we've utilized Zoom and the way that we have to do our new teaching, but kids really have access to a whole world that we did not as youth ourselves.
right. Amen. Amen. And it's something we need to be aware of and we need to make sure. Well, in fact, that's my straight talk today. So I'm not going to
Absolutely.
say any more about kids right now.
All right. Well, I will let you go into straight talk. Thank you so much.
Okay, well, my straight talk today, as Robert and I were talking about, really is about our youth. And they are amazing. And I know that there's a lot of sometimes negativity between Generation Y and X and baby boomers and the veterans, and oh, those young kids don't know and they're all entitled. And some are, and so are some adults. And it is our responsibility as adults to set the example and to hold accountable the youth, and let them know what the consequences are and let them make their own decisions and actually live the consequence decision. Now, there are some decisions you're not going to let them make as a child. You're not going to say, put your hand on the stove and burn it so you know what it's like. That's just wrong. But turning in their homework. Now, we want them to. We know how they're going to suffer. But when we constantly go, turn it in, turn it in, turn it in, turn it in, it almost becomes a rebellion. But when you say, I will sit with you and help you do your homework, if you don't get it done and you don't turn it in, you're going to get the bad grade. And that bad grade is going to keep you from having the job you want, the career you want, the knowledge you want. And then if they don't finish it and turn it in, they get that bad grade. You just look at them and you say, how embarrassing for you. How embarrassing for you. And now they realize that the full responsibility is on them. It's not that they've hurt your life, it's that they've hurt their own. And I don't encourage kids not to turn in their homework to learn that lesson, but there are things kids just are going to do. We have to allow them the consequences and not constantly bail them out, because when they become grown-ups, we don't always get bailed out. So our responsibility to teach them responsibility for themselves and accountability. So that's my straight talk for today. And I'm so excited for our new guests. I'm going to let our sponsors have a word, and then I'll introduce you to our fabulous guests right after.
Tired of bringing on boring guests? It's time to bring in a guest that will make your audience feel virtually limitless. Meet Trey Carmichael. So, who the heck is he? Trey is the founder of Virtually Limitless, the CEO of Carmichael Business Solutions and Limitless Wear, as well as an international best-selling author. He's known by show hosts around the world as the 22-year-old systems genius, the connector, and the Swami of systems. Not only can Trey cover valuable topics for your audience, such as the 7 pillars of business, long-term and short-term media, the know, like, and trust in a box, but he has an incredible backstory of how he went from local drug addict and drug dealer to working with some of the most incredible people and consulting 6- and 7-figure companies even after being diagnosed with bipolar schizophrenia. Would your audience benefit from learning how to systemize their business, create massive amounts of content without the overwhelm, or turn their social media into an invisible funnel that converts their prospects on autopilot? Let's talk about Trey's new book, Limitless Expansion Secrets, LES, because we all want to work less. Let's lock in a time to rock your audience.
Network together. It's all about connections. Expand your sphere of influence. Build relationships. Be part of something bigger. Be part of Network Together.
Okay, well, welcome back. And I have to tell you, I am so excited for our guest today. This is a woman that I met, oh gosh, about a year ago now. Actually, it was pretty close to a year ago next week, and or this week. And she is just amazing. And they say if you want something done and done right, that you give it to a busy person. Well, you won't find anybody busier than her. And anybody who keeps all those balls in the air and gets everything done and done perfectly. She has been on multiple boards and directorships. She was Marine Corps. She's got all kinds of business things. And, she is over the Network Builders of Arizona. And I'm going to not give you any more teasers. I'm going to have Robert bring Jackie right on, and let's just get talking to her and find out all kinds of things about her and how she helps the world. Jackie, I love you.
It's a mutual admiration. We just sit up here and admire each other. What kind of script is that, right?
Hey, well, I know all kinds of fabulous stuff, but I want you, if you will, to take a moment to tell us about your background and what's brought you to where you are today.
Well, there's a lot that comes into all of this, and I don't know where the Marine Corps came into it. It's not who I am. It's the Peace Corps.
Oh,
And
Peace
that,
Corps.
yeah,
I got that
kind
wrong.
of a different angle. Sorry to correct you, but
Way different. No,
that's
I
that's
appreciate
Robert.
you correcting me.
That's not me. Anyhow,
That's
kind
must have been what I was thinking.
yeah, that's kind of where it started. Although I didn't know it for years, it was that indulgence, that experience, that immersion into another culture in West Africa and Liberia that started my curiosity for other cultures. And just kind of built from there as I did what most people would do. After I'd gone through college, I went through the corporate world, so on and so forth, and started my own business in the 90s. And then the networking came out of that business because I saw the business people didn't have a clue what to do with the referrals they got. So I began networking groups of my own, about 15 of them in the Bay Area in California. And then as I got into that, then I ran into a beautiful experience and enlightenment, so to speak, as I found a group who was doing summits for women all over the world. And it was by Dr. Paula Fellingham. And we got together and we created um, a, uh, a conference through the World Parliament of Spirituality, and decided that we're going to come to solution for some of the problems in the world. So to do that, we had to talk to countries. So the concept is all 195 countries. And I said, sign me up. I want to get people together. This is so important. Collaboration is so valuable. And Robert put it the right way. It's how you really make things happen together. Um, and so I began with the youth part of that, which is International Youth Parliament, and that really spread my whole mind and focus to a global before we even had all of what we have now. And of course, as I did that, and I talked to the countries around the world, and I mentored the people in the countries, about 10 of them at this point, I began to become aware of their needs and to see the many, many, many things that each developing country and youth specifically came out the strongest as that their needs were. Yet there were people on the ground that wanted so desperately to work with those. So now with the International Youth Parliament, I had grassroots. I had these little baby seeds that were determined, no matter what, that they were going to make a difference with the youth in their countries. Well, I could think of nothing better. So nonprofits started to come to me, and they became, yeah, I was like a magnet to them and still am. And now the joy is to be able to put these tools, that's what the nonprofits are tools of not only awareness so that we can be excited about what's aware of where around us. It may not be a positive thing at start, but these tools will allow these kids in my world where I look from to be able to literally change the whole paradigm of education, where it starts in the home by voicing what needs to be heard. And it fits exactly into what you're saying. It's that energy, is to keep that energy going. You guys are good. You're wonderful. Look at yourselves now, not what you're going to be in 20 years. Now, it's important to realize that you have that power. Here are the tools. And I only came up with 18 groups in the 20 minutes I prepared for this that are actually strong and giving them the tools. So we have developed a force that is incredible. Now we need to respect it and let it grow like the yeast to get that energy to do what we need to do.
And I didn't give you credit for your last minute contribution. We had another guest scheduled for today, and he woke up this morning with no voice. And we've been wanting Jackie on anyway. And Robert was on the phone with her, and he went, "Jackie!" And she graciously said, "Absolutely." So the beautiful young lady had 20 minutes to fully prepare. Uh, I did. So she's done well.
Thank
But
you. I appreciate that.
I appreciate and love that you start with the youth, and I want to hit on for a minute our the way we talk to them and the words we use, and several people know, and I probably have on this show talked about it, that I had the opportunity this last spring to become guardian of one of my grandchildren, my one grandson, who was going through a bad situation in his home, with my ex son-in-law. And when he got with me, I started having him say at night, "I am loved and I am worthy." And Jackie, it broke my heart because the first time I made him do that, because he had to say it 10 times, and he had to say it with conviction and then stop in between each one. And I would repeat, "Yes, you are loved and you're worthy." The first night, he couldn't, literally could not do it. And it wasn't that he didn't want to. He couldn't hardly choke out the words. It was next to impossible. And yet they were just words. But because in his heart, he didn't feel loved and he didn't feel worthy, because that's what he was hearing.
That's what
Even
he
if
was
it
taught.
wasn't those words, that's what he believed. And, it's been, what, 7 months or so. And
Mhm.
he's just now finally getting to say, "I'm loved and I'm worthy."
Oh,
And
good.
it's like, yes. But that first time, it was like, and I'm like, "No, I don't hear you. I'm loved."
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it just broke my heart. And so the work you're doing, helping in the home to train the parents so they can train their children, and helping the school system so the school systems train the children, that they are valuable. And here's a Karen soapbox, and if you disagree with me, you disagree with me. This baloney that everybody gets a trophy because they played the game does not teach children what the real world is like, because we have to compete and we have to be the best that we can be. And just saying, "I don't have to do anything because I'm going to get a trophy anyway." Some kids are going to go ahead and still compete, but it does not encourage the others, in my mind, to excel and do better. And I have a gal that I know that's a teacher right now that believes everybody should get an A no matter what they do. And I'm like, if they all put in effort, okay, maybe, but no, they've got to put in the effort and do the work and see that they are responsible for doing the work and turning it in and doing their very, very best. Understanding everybody's very best is at different levels, and in different things. What I'm good at, somebody else isn't, and what somebody else is good at, I'm not. Um, and that's understandable. But I didn't compete in the areas that I knew that's not my strength. And I worked hard on those and still developed them. But the areas that I wanted to excel in, the competition for me, and knowing I had to be better than I was before in order to excel, is what helped me to excel in life. So that's Karen's soapbox. And I know a lot of people disagree with me, but I think everybody getting the gold medal because they showed up that day, just, and even sometimes when they don't, it just doesn't fly.
Yeah, those are real interesting. I'm having my little brains going back and forth about 20 times since you've spoken, because I've always been a proponent, and I see all kinds of sides of that. I've always been a proponent that competition is not the best thing because you're judging others, and someone's always going to fall short. And instead of annihilating people along the way, if you lead the way and bring them with you in collaboration, you get farther. So that's another angle of what you're saying, though I agree that the individual, I don't think, has a right to be able to say that I get it no if I attend. I do think there should be some way to excel and to show that you are your best. So I guess it kind of goes both directions as long as the competition is on a fair basis. I don't know exactly because it's, if you see what I mean.
Yeah. I know, I see exactly what you mean. And I guess I come from the point of view that if I'm a dentist, if I'm not the best dentist in the area and or one of the top dentists in the area, I don't have clientele. And if I do, I'm not doing them justice. And to me, that's a form of competition. And who's judging that? Well, the customers are. And if I was brought up to believe just because I show up, I deserve to have a gold ribbon, then when I get out in the workplace, just because I showed up in the office, you should give me a raise. Where it's just in the real world, it's a competition. You have to do better than the next person to get a better raise. And it's not that you want anyone else to do poorly. You want everybody to do beautifully, but life is a competition with yourself if with no one else. And it's businesses compete, and that's in my world, that's reality. And so I totally get what you're saying, and I agree, because you don't want somebody to fall short and give up. But that's when I think you help them find an area where they're going to excel and exceed and succeed. um but like you said, it's a double-edged sword. I see both points of view. And I guess.
Yeah, yeah. What you're saying uh, attributes to or continues to keep going the concept of entitlement. That word that we overuse, but it appears to be, and I don't believe it, though it happens a lot, is I'm entitled to this, so I don't have to participate. I've paid my dues. No, you haven't. I, so it's that feeling that if I show up, then I'm entitled to the prize. So I think that kind of is the term, and it's a paradigm that we literally have to adjust
Right.
completely. There still has to be an awareness of your wonder, your talents, your capabilities, to acknowledge and to bring those to the forefront, which hasn't usually been done, perhaps,
Yeah.
so that you don't feel that you just because you have those wonderful things. I mean, you can't stop there. You've got to have them go to action to literally use them, because they're not
Right.
written all over your face as you walk out the door. It doesn't say speak well, great at art, very creative. You have to be able to actually perform those things so that people understand that you do have those gifts. If you let them sit in the background, entitlement
Yeah,
means nothing.
nobody will ever know. Yeah.
Absolutely entitled. You can put the badge up as much as you want to, but unless you show us that you're
Right.
worthy of what you call entitlement, no game.
Yeah. And I love that. And sometimes you have to tell people what you do too. I'm always amazed when I find out that somebody who's a good friend does something that I needed and didn't turn to them and buy it from them or utilize them because I didn't know they did it.
Yeah.
And I had a great mentor. Robert laughs because I'm always giving quotes. One of my great mentors said, if you don't toot your own horn, someone else will use it as a spittoon. Well, I don't want anybody spitting in my horn, so I better be tooting it.
I love it. That's a good
And
one.
tooting horns, you need to toot your horn some more. Tell us some of the great things that you're doing that's actually helping these kids and really with the networks and the women out there.
Networks and women focus better. Okay, got that. There are so many ways and so many groups. That's probably my biggest challenge. My biggest challenge is that, as I said, there are 18 that I wrote down in 5 minutes. So it's to really focus on those that are going to produce or to provide the most tools for the best. What's the best population? I don't know how to say that because there isn't any best.
Well, for the widest audience.
Yeah, good point. Very good. For the widest audience. So I choose, I work either as much as I can to get them wherever they need to go, or I literally affiliate with them to help really make sure they get to where they're going because I feel that strongly about them. And I start from birth. I don't mess around. It's from birth to third grade is actually one of my very favorites, and that's the gamified literacy app to be able to take children through 8,000 video focused ways to learn and get them to third grade level in 90 days.
Now, is that your video app?
Now, don't I wish? Um, no, it's not mine. It's Footsteps, the number two, brilliance.com. And it is totally brilliant. And that someone said to Greg, who's the vice president, did you actually make this pandemic? He says, absolutely no, but never, never lose the opportunity of a catastrophe, you know,
Yeah.
because now is when they need it more than ever before, because they've been doing this for 10 years. So,
Yeah.
wake up and join us. So at any rate, and uh, I get tantalized because I am global. My mind is global as much as it is local. So I want to take it to Sierra Leone. I want to take it to Congo. I want to take it to Uganda. I mean, I've got all these places set up, and they said, just kind of try local first, will you? So anyhow, I have some that's one of my very favorites because that is helping up to third grade. And then from the third grade on up, Journey's Map is my favorite at that stage. And that is taking the kids to plan for their future. And it gives them a trip that they can take and look at all the careers in the process and the credited courses, certificated courses, as well as college and the employers that will want them and ask for them. And that's an online course, Journey's Map.
Now, see, that's one of the great things that you're doing that actually goes along with me saying help them find their area of brilliance
Yeah.
and help them shine in it and taking them on that journey and letting them see options.
Yeah.
What a wonderful way to help them get introduced to things that they can say, wow, that sounds fun, that sounds exciting. And to I mean, some kids don't get introduced to anything except for what their parents and their best friends' parents do.
Yeah.
And they end up in careers that they go, oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And the interesting thing about that is that this concept of learning about your careers and finding out where you are going is what I would, and I'm doing at whatever pace with I Entrepreneur group. Robert and I, and it's a matter of going into the schools, and I'm working locally with the Queen Creek Chamber of Commerce on their education committee, and we're going to be joining hands in whatever degree we can to help the youth to see the different careers that are out there, and to provide mentors for these kids in the high schools, especially so that the business owners can literally play a part in their future, and to make sure that the skills and the things that they love are built into the careers they're literally working toward. So on the education committee, we have a summit and we have an E4T. This has a different flavor this year, but the concept is to be able to think of what is needed in the schools. What are we missing by having
Yeah.
both the students assess that and the businesses about what needs to be done for those kids? So, and then bringing that to light, whether it's virtual or in person, is
Yeah.
giving them the tools. So that's what all of the 18 nonprofits I work with are. They are the tools. They are the shining light. They are the building of the awareness of excitement to get these kids jump started to be able to be the people that they are meant to be. Then let them go. Let them
Yeah.
do it. Give them now. Our paradigm in our education has to be to light the fire of these kids and to allow them to realize they have a voice. Now let's listen.
I love that. And with the show being the 7-figure jump, I think we would have more people the 7, 8, 9, 20-figure category if they'd had the encouragement, if they'd had the tools, if they'd had the excitement and enthusiasm from youth. And I know a lot of people say, "Oh yeah, well, they were born with the silver spoon in their mouth." Some people have been, and some have not. But the biggest difference that I see in these people is people who have a lot of money know that they are worthy of a lot of money. They deserve a lot of money, but that they have to work to get it. And it's not as much of an entitlement, which again, that word's so overused, as it is a belief that it's possible and I can do it. And I can be creative and come up with the ideas and ways to do it. And I see a lot of people, grown adults that go, "Oh yeah, nobody can make more than, $20,000 a year. That's just not real. Those people, they're liars. That's just." And if you make under 20,000 a year, there's nothing wrong with you. You're not a loser. You're not horrible. But there's more. And you can do more. And there are coaches and mentors. Well, Karen, I can't afford them. There are free coaches. There are coaches with all kinds of organizations. And I just right now, people who had lots of money have dropped down to little to no money because of just having the rug pulled out from underneath them from not planning for this wonderful COVID that we've had the opportunity to experience. And yet other people have thrived, and I mean, not just survived, but actually thrived because it was along the avenues of what they were planning. And so we just need to refocus and plan a different track. And you are teaching the youth how to do that so that when they become my age, many, many, many moons later, it refocusing and taking a new track isn't going to be a trial as much as it has been for some of us who didn't have that opportunity growing up.
Yeah, it's important that we develop the concept of to feel good enough about themselves to realize that whatever they can imagine can happen. So it's a development of destroying the limiting belief. I think one of the worst things that happened to me as a child is that I heard the words, "There's nothing new you can create." And at some point, I believed that. But as I got older, I realized that my uniqueness, no one has. No
Yeah.
one is like me. And yes, there are things, my way, the way I do it, that can be creating a different paradigm, a different perspective, a different awareness because of the experiences that we each have had. No one has the same experiences. They can't. It's impossible. And so your
Yeah.
perspective is totally different from anyone else's. And mine's typically in the left field, somewhere that nobody's even heard of before. And that's okay as long as I can fit into society and bring in a whole nother perspective that they hadn't even heard of before, because I had the freedom to be creative, because imagination
Yeah.
is the key to everything. When we stifle the imagination, we stifle the creativity and the awareness that you can build something different.
Yeah. And my creativity was never suffered, but I didn't get a strong education on bringing it to fruition, unless it was something I was totally convict. Here's my conviction. I cannot tell you how many things there are today that I invented 10 and 20 years before they happened and did
Exactly.
nothing with it. I mean, I can show you in my journal. That drive through where you put in what you want, give it your credit card, go to the window and pick it up. I invented that in 1997. I did. I mean, all kinds of stuff. And I tell people, you take it, make a patent. I just want it for my convenience. Um, but I think it's important that we teach kids to be creative, but that we also teach them how to take that creativity and to put it into something useful, a product, or
Mhm.
know where to take it to give it to someone else to do it as a product instead of waiting, 20 years for it to happen. And just waiting for somebody else to come up with the idea and put it to action.
Mhm.
And that mistakes are good. Some of our greatest inventions and greatest things we have today came from mistakes. I mean, post-it notes. That
Mhm.
was airplane glue that was supposed to hold airplane wings together. I mean, it doesn't hold paper together. I mean, that was a mistake. But I tell you what, I love my post-it notes.
Mhm.
I love them.
Yeah. Yeah. It's our task, as I say, to provide the tools and to relish and cherish the individuality that these kids have and to respect them for that. I think that is something that is missing in a lot of angles. They just think that, oh, they're kids, they don't know anything. Give them credit.
Oh, my,
I had to tell the Footsteps to Brilliance app that I'm talking about. Of my mentor's granddaughter has it, and she's 6 years old. And she walks over to her grandmother and she says, "Grandma, my mind is hungry for footsteps."
oh, how
And I thought,
sweet.
oh my gosh, can I put that on a poster? My mind is hungry for footsteps.
Oh, that
And I
is
thought,
so beautiful.
when you develop them to know what they need, what is the tool that I use now? My gosh, I'm hungry, but it's not for food. It's my brain is hungry. Give me a break.
I
To
love
know
that.
that, to be aware that that is there, and let's see, I better go read, or I better go do this, and footsteps, an hour and a half later, she had done what she could do to get her to fill her
Oh,
brain, and,
she'd eaten.
yeah, so
I'd
it
love
was so
that.
beautiful. It really was, and that's what we need to do, is to provide the tools, the vehicles,
Yeah,
and let them realize the potential and then the action that they must take, so that it's
yeah,
not entitlement except by example.
Right. And you said that, it made me think of one other thing, and that is stop and ask them for their advice. These kids know things we don't. They see it from a whole different perspective. And I'll tell you what, I've gotten advice from my kids and grandkids that I went, why didn't I think of that? Because I'm already set in my ways and their mind isn't yet. And so respect them and ask their advice and don't say, well, that's stupid, because 9 out of 10 times their advice is something that you probably want to listen to. Now,
Yeah.
you do a lot of advising too, don't you? You've got people you coach and mentor,
Yeah, yes and
kind
no. I
of.
mean, most of mine had my husband gets so upset. You're talking to the Congo this morning? Give me a break. Well, yeah, a lot of it is global. Believe it or not, even though the societies and cultures are different, the basic principles are the same worldwide. That we want to accomplish this and that and the other for youth. So, yes, I do give advice. Also in Shanghai and different places, that it's been fascinating to hear about the cultures and to just give them words that might be able to help them. Had you thought about this? Well, I know this group, maybe that'd work. And so that's part of the joy and the gold that I get.
Right.
And they love it and they're so appreciative. So it's youth is probably as much as any in the advice area, although I do help business people to realize the abundance that's sitting right there in their database or in LinkedIn or other powerful engines, that they don't even pay attention to, you know.
Yeah. Well, I know people need your help in attacking, and attacking was the wrong word, in
Uncovering.
working with uncovering, in helping others through their database, and utilizing it so that they can get their information out. And I know that there are people who are going to want to help you on your mission with the youth. So how do they contact you for both of those, be it different avenues or one way? How can they contact you to either have you help them with their database, or so that they can help you with your youth programs?
Well, you can see going across the screen how to contact me. My main focus is on the education right now. Um, is to be able to get the footsteps to brilliance into the schools and into the hands of the teachers or whomever is working with the students. That's the big part there. The other is business people who are sitting there thinking, well, I've got a huge tool in front of me and I'm on it all the time. Why is it that people aren't coming to me? Well, you know what? It's because you haven't built a relationship. So
Right.
at this point, I'm having them looked at their LinkedIn profile. Does it sing their essence? Does it look toward the people who could become alliances? Does it focus on them and to rebuild that, as well as now you've got that? What's the strategy? How are you going to get to those people that become alliances? And those are people that are targeting the same audience typically. So I help them to look at LinkedIn and to say, oh, I need an esthetician. Well, let's see how many are in Arizona, for instance. Well, we have 35,000 to work with. Which one would you like to start with? So I help them to come up with a strategy, what to say to these people. What can you do together? What is it that's going to
Right.
drive your cause to the same place, which is that target audience? So those are the two ways, is business owners consistently. Women, I didn't mention women. I'm working with various groups with women. There's going to be an enormous world conference for women on Women's Day in March in Las Vegas. And it will be the biggest, probably the biggest conference in the world. It is going to be enormous. So if women want to be involved in any of that. And then the last is planned acts of kindness. And that group has all kinds of ways for all of us to work
Yeah.
together in a karma club and to help with the COVID and all different kinds of ways. So that kind of pretty much solidifies the whole thing.
Yeah.
Again, If you use my email, my website is brand new, JacquelineZoccoli.com, and that puts in perspective with video me telling you exactly what it is that I'm working with and how you can be part of it.
I love that, Jacqueline. You have always amazed me since the moment I met you sitting in the back of a room and I saw this beautiful, tall woman walk in and command the room. And I just went, I've got to know her. And
You
you,
sweetheart.
again, I'm so grateful that you were on today and the work that you're doing for women, for businesses, and especially for our youth. I just, I respect it, I honor it, and I'm so thankful and grateful that you're doing it because it's so necessary. And all of the audience, I strongly encourage you to reach out to her. And it's Jacqueline Zoccoli, and it's JACLYN, as in zebra, OCCOLI.com. And I know you can see it on the screen, but for those that need to hear it, you've just heard
Yeah.
it.
Thank you so
Jackie,
much. I appreciate you, Karen. We just keep getting
oh,
stronger and stronger, don't we? I love it.
we do. I so appreciate and adore you, and thank you
Thank
again
you.
for being on. Mwah.
Thank you. Be
Let's
sure to remember to be open to wonder rather than closed by belief. That's Gary Spence.
Oh, I love that. Say it one more time.
Be open to wonder rather than closed by belief.
All right. So Robert's going to write that in the chat for everybody to see. I love that.
Gary
Um,
Spence. It's not mine. Gary Spence.
yeah,
Spence.
Gary.
Got it? Okay.
Yep, SPNSE. Okay. Well, Jackie, again, thank you so much for being on the show today,
Thank
and we'll go to a commercial break.
Okay. Thank you.
Meet Marty Barigian, a transformational energy connector, a global energy master, seeker of the universe, and the abundance connector. Join Marty for a live 3-day energy attraction and abundance workshop Friday, November 20th through Sunday, November 22nd. Harness the specific energy required to attract abundance, love, and vitality into your life. Purchase your ticket at martyberigian.vip/life. The Art of Connection, 365 Days of Inspiration, a way of leaving your legacy today and tomorrow. It's great to be inspired, but it's better to be the one doing the inspiring. Improving our children's lives, getting them excited about the things to come, and building a future. Also bringing our own selves more business, more credibility, and improving our search engine optimization. The value of quotes is they encourage us, speak to us, remind us, empower us, and comfort us. A thought can change your perception. Share your thoughts and offer strength to others. As Steve Jobs says, do something wonderful. Be a part of the Art of Connection. For more information and to secure your spot in history, go to www.365networkingquotes.com.
I tell you what, I've had the opportunity to work with Jackie this past year.
I really enjoyed today's interview of Jacque Zoccoli. Dr. Karen, if you come back on, I will be here with you. Jacque and Zoccoli and I go back a decade now, which is amazing because I've just seen, and it seems like years go by like days at this point. And the conversations that we've had, the support that and love that we've had for each other, it's been amazing. And like the wizard, you're back on the show, Dr. Karen.
I don't know what happened. I said my internet went down, and I'm plugged into the landline, or not the landline, but to the house. I don't know. I tell you, I think the world just wanted Robert to be on there for a minute.
I won't go as far as saying that, but you and I both have really come a long ways, you and I, in our relationship, in the same way that we've done
Yeah.
with Jackie. And I really like to go back to the competition and the collaboration. One of the things I have seen a lot, and I've really thought about this, and these are things I think about even in our own world with the Entrepreneur Network. And we need both. I mean, we can't have competition, we can't have collaboration at the expense of each other. I always look at competition in my world as, competition is really a way to help me enhance my individual gifts. I've
Right.
been given gifts, and if I'm able to really pursue them heartily, that they grow. But then
I'm
yeah.
happy coming in third place as long as I do better each time I come into third place.
Well,
I mean, I'd like to be first place, but I don't. If somebody else is there, I'm okay with it. But with you saying complete each other, I full-heartedly own that. Yes, you complete each other, but for me, I don't want to compete with somebody who does something I'm not strong at. I mean, that's just stupid.
well,
I want to utilize your skills and talents, and
Well, and I think that this is what's really great, because I believe competing helps you hone in and really grow your gifts. That's what competing does and should do. And you should be
yeah,
rewarded for maybe outworking, out hustling, having natural attributes. Collaboration, my definition of collaboration is taking your talents, the gifts that you have, and sharing them.
yeah,
Collaboration is actually where you get to share those gifts, and those are
yeah.
both from the individual perspective. Being in the Marines and some other organizations myself, I think where we really get to see both competition and collaboration come into play is when we actually compete and collaborate as teams together. And that's
Oh,
what I mean.
absolutely.
You go from competition and collaboration to completeness. And completeness means you're the accountant, I'm the marketer, Jackie's the administrator. We've competed, we've honed our skills to get to the certain level where we trust each other enough that we complete each other as a team to find greatness. And I think that that's where each one of them comes into play, like Lego parts. When they fit together well, you can both have speed and sustainability over time. And I
Yeah.
think that's just, I wanted to bring that to the table, Dr. Karen, at the end of our show today.
You know what? I think you wrapped together what Jackie and I were saying beautifully, absolutely beautifully. And as you were saying that, I thought, well, yeah, the way I said it kind of sounded like there shouldn't be collaboration and there shouldn't be completing each other. But I definitely think that is vital, absolutely vital. And I just,
And
yeah, give him a pat on the back. Everybody goes and gets a snow cone or ice cream cone after the game if you win or lose. Okay, I'm good with that. But not everybody goes to the playoffs, and not everybody, and that's where a team works hard together to succeed together.
yeah,
And to me, that kind of hard work should be rewarded, and not just, why should I work hard if I'm not going to get anything to show that I worked hard?
yeah. And I think that, for us, sometimes we do need to reward participation, because there is
Yeah,
reward in that itself. And I
right.
think that we can do both. Reward those who
Yeah,
participate, but then also award as well those who excel. I think it's very,
yeah.
very important that we keep those people motivated by being to say, you know what, I worked the hardest and I got something because of that, and that's
I
okay
got a
too.
little
Don't,
extra.
yes, don't be
I
embarrassed
got
to
a
succeed.
little extra.
And
Yeah.
it makes me think, and this is another topic, and why do people fear to succeed? Well, if I'm being implanted that it's a bad thing to succeed over time, maybe I start to believe that. And like Jackie said, it takes away from the wonder. It
Yeah.
takes away from the possibilities.
Well, and there was several studies done a while back that at that time, and I'll have to look at new studies and see if it's still the case. People said the number one fear is spiders, it's public speaking, but at the time it said no, it was success. Because if I succeed, will I lose my friends? Will I be mocked? Will I be made fun of? Will people want stuff from me? Will I be taken advantage of? Will I look like I'm haughty toddy? And it's like, the people we're talking to are not afraid of succeeding or they wouldn't be where they're at. But there are people who are afraid of success for one reason or another. And I'm going to put this out there. If you're struggling going from 6 to 7 figures or 7 to 8 or even 5 to 6, there's probably something telling you that you don't want to go to that next level on a subconscious level. And it comes back to believe that you can succeed, and don't be ashamed of it. Like you just said, don't be ashamed of being a little bit better, of working and having it show and be rewarded. And it's okay. It's okay to be number one. It's okay to be number 2 and 3, but it's okay to be a better you than you were yesterday.
Hey, I love that. And I think that is the key. Are we all pursuing greatness in our own ways? And, and as we do that, are we taking people with us? And I think that's the
Yeah.
important question right there.
And I love where Jackie starts with them as youth. And, folks, honestly, I said it when she was on, but I sincerely mean it. We as a society need to turn to our youth, respect them, and teach them. And I would strongly say get in touch with Jacque Zoccoli, and see what you can do, even if it's just giving 5 minutes of your time to share an idea, or maybe it's money, maybe it's donating an hour a week. I don't know what it is that you can do that will help them, but do it. And Jackie is the best conduit to get you with the right group to do the right thing that fits for you and is going to benefit the youth and the world.
Well, I think we had a great show today. I'm going to go ahead and hop off. If you have any final comments,
My final comment is that we have had yet another fabulous guest, and I have to tell you, I am so thankful for the wonderful people that we have out there in our database. And if you have a suggestion of somebody you would like to see come on and get their point of view and how they can help society get to that next level and help you to achieve that next level, and be it you or someone you know, be sure and reach out to us. And you can send it to me at Karen at drkarenperkins.com. That's Karen at Dr. Karen, Karen Perkins, PERKINS.com. Or you can reach out to Robert, and I'll have to have him jump back on and tell us the right email to send it to now, or where to look up my Netrepreneur Network, because they're rebranding. Robert, can you jump back on?
yes, go ahead. My email address still works at robert@networktogether.net. And I Jackie and I say this all the time. We want to get entrepreneurship as early as possible to the youth, here locally and certainly globally. They are onto something that we as youth did not have access to. It's our job as adults, though, to help them develop the awareness of that access and create the impact that we could have only dreamed about when we were their age.
Yep. Well, Robert, why don't we sign off together? You ready?
All right.
Everybody, be here next week.
Every Tuesday from 9 until 10 a.m.
Pacific
time.
Pacific and noon Eastern time.
And something
So
about
you
that
guys-
Greenwich time.
Yeah. See you guys next week.
See you guys next week.
Thank you for joining the 7-Figure Jump, a production of the iEntrepreneur Radio Network with host Dr. Karen Perkins. Join Dr. Karen each week as she visits with new and exciting guests who inspire, teach, and mentor the secrets behind the 7-Figure Jump. Join us every Tuesday at 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern, and 4 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time.